This week on The Big Show, we take a moment to remember the life and legacy of Sly Stone, the funk pioneer whose music shaped generations. We'll also reflect on the incredible energy, films, and unforgettable moments at this year's Light Reel Film Festival. Plus, we'll have reviews of How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action adaptation of the beloved animated series, Straw, a haunting psychological drama, and Ballerina, the brutal new action spinoff from the John Wick universe. We'll have all that and more on this week's episode of Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. Let's go. Welcome to the latest episode of The Big Show, Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. I am Tim Gordon, and I am joined by the super moisturized ambassador from the Light Reel Film Festival, Charles Kirkland Jr.
Smooth as butter, baby. I'm feeling it.
You absolutely are. Shane, did you see all that lubrication that brother put on? Man, look. He talking about I got some extra. I'm like, I'm good, bro. I'm not taking it out your hand. You put it everywhere, man. It was on your forehead.
I needed it. I was working, and I showered before I came here, and
thank God
into the studio.
Thank God for that shower.
I just needed to I need some lubrication, and I was going to say something else, but I'm glad I stopped.
We have an FCC license to protect. We got a lot of shows.
He knows when you are sleeping.
We're not clear for that music, man. Stop it. We got a big show coming up, the Light Reel Film Festival, which we promoted heavily over the last month. Came and went over the weekend, and Charles and I are going to recap our experiences at Light Reel along with Shane, who was out there. Shane, you were out there a couple of days, right? Yeah, so Shane was
Friday
there
and Saturday. He was there.
Shane graces with his presence, man. I was happy to see Shane. It's always good to see him when he is not behind the glass.
He didn't show up on opening night though.
Hey man, you got to talk to Shane about that. He had to work.
Oh well, yeah.
There it is.
I knew that.
All
Someone told me that you had to work.
We also have reviews coming up later in the show, which we will do this week because generally time will get away from us and we'll miss our review window. But let's talk about, the seismic thing that occurred this weekend. Now, it's funny because several months ago, I went to Sundance and saw Sly Lives.
I mean, we're past that now.
Thank you.
I should leave that alone.
I saw Sly Lives, which I know subsequently you saw.
I did
right?
see it, yes.
And we did a huge show where we talked about the impact of Sylvester Stewart, a.k.a. Sly Stone. And we found out early this week that Sly Stone at the age of 82 passed away. And the first thing I thought about, Charles, was I was so glad that Questlove was able to get this project finished and he was able to see it before he passed.
You taking words right out of my mouth.
Yeah,
man. It's one thing to give somebody their flowers after they pass, but he got an opportunity to see it before he did. And I'm sure that was an incredible moment. And I'm sure Questlove is feeling it, too.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure Questlove, man, is probably hurting this morning, man, or hurting this week. Because it's so funny. I remember having a conversation in my house with my kids about who Sly Stone was. I'm not talking about this week. I'm talking about when Sly Lives came out.
Right.
And I was like, y'all really don't understand that, James Brown and Sly Stone are literally the models for everybody from George Clinton to Prince to Stevie Wonder to Michael Jackson. Like, everybody who's anybody got their style from these guys. Now, James Brown, of course, we've talked ad nauseum about who James Brown was. But Sly Stone, man, we talked, and I'll cover a lot of the ground that the doc covered, right? He had the first band that was multicultural, multiracial, multigender. He had women in the band. He had white folk in the band. I mean, Sly was a genius. Now, the drug aspect, unfortunately, kind of derailed him some. But man, that creativity in the mid to late '60s, going into the early '70s.
Yeah. And I, when we talked about Sly Lives, I feel like we're rehashing all of this because of his passing. But I remember I grew up with him. We used to go on road trips in the RV, and Sly Stone's and Sly and the Family Stone's greatest hits would be 8-track playing in the RV. Now I'm really dating myself talking about the 8-track. But yeah, I mean, his music was so influential and different at the time when it came out. People just latched onto it, and again, because it was cross-cultural, cross-gender, cross everything, it crossed everywhere. Everybody listened to Sly and the Family Stone. It wasn't they may have called him a funk master, but he was a musician, and the world listened to his music.
Man, he's been described as the architect of psychedelic funk. He was able to blend soul, rock, gospel, and protest music all together.
All together, yeah.
Songs like Everyday People, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself, Family Affair, Everybody is a Star, If You Want Me to Stay. If You Want Me to Stay, I remember the story I heard. I don't even think this is in the doc, but I think this is a story I read that, and I shared it on air months ago, that he was having a disagreement. I'll use that word, not an argument, but he was having a disagreement with his significant other, and he used the disagreement as the basis of a song. If you listen to the lyrics, how does the song start?
You're talking about if you want me to stay.
If you want me to stay, I'll be around today. I'll be available for you to see. But I'm about to go, and then you'll know. I'm like, that is, and see, that's what I call true artist, man. A true artist takes and draws from everything. And Sly was that guy, as we talked about, this blending of so many different styles in order to kind of create the music that he did. His sampling legacy alone, Charles.
Oh, man.
Everybody from, like I said, P-Funk, Prince, Outkast, D'Angelo. Prince loved Sly so much, he brought Larry Graham into his band, who was a member of the Family Stone.
Right.
Love that guy, man.
And don't forget, where would Janet Jackson be without?
Oh, my God, man. That's the key part. Shane, did you see the Sly Lives doc? Oh, bro, you need to watch that. That was really well done, man.
Sly Lives, a.k.a. The Burden of Black Genius.
Absolutely.
Questlove, again, directed the documentary, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
So, Charles, here's something that we could talk a little bit about. Do you think, and Shane as well, do you think there's any current artist, man, that's carrying Sly's torch today? Anybody musically and politically that are moving the needle in the way that Sly did back in the day? And when I say moving the needle, I'm talking about Sly was moving the needle in the late 60s during the period of love, the season of love, and, all that protest in 1968, 69, when the country literally was almost coming apart at the seams.
Yeah.
Assassinations are happening. Oh my God, Watergate is to come.
You got civil rights happening.
Right.
Everything is happening.
Yeah, so Sly, the Panthers had started up a couple of years earlier. Is there anybody that's out there right now in this generation that we see that's moving that needle or carrying that torch?
No. I don't think
Shane is thinking. I'm like, anybody? I mean, I want to hear from Shane because Shane represents the next generation. I'm like, tell me some. Am I missing? Is it Janelle Monáe? Is it? I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, is there anybody?
I mean, really? Maybe Kendrick? I mean, as far as the socials.
Yeah, I can see that. But Kendrick could be one. Maybe.
Maybe?
No, I mean, yeah. I would say I would say Kendrick is probably the closest thing we could probably come to. You know anybody else? Shane has got a blank look on his face. He's like,
He's like, people can make music that does that? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
They don't do it nowadays, but back then when we were in the middle of stuff.
Well, that's not true. Let me just share this, and I'm not going to go on a long rant because I always get into this with my young people. Because, we are of a different generation, right? So we were listening to music and different artists, and a lot of those artists have gone on, right? Yeah. As evidence of now Sly, and there's no more Luther, there's no more Whitney, there's no more Rick James, there's no more Michael and Prince. There's a whole bunch of guys that I grew up listening to who no longer are alive, right? But for this generation, who take in music in a very different way, we can't expect the artists of our period to be the artists of their period. They have to have their own set of artists, right? So when I was a child, my family listened to the blues, and you had like doo-wop music, and there was a Sinatra and all these folks. All those guys were not our guys, right? We found our guys, right? So for instance, Shane, lean closer because I need Shane to answer this. Who are your guys of this generation as we talk about the losing, as our guys are moving on? Who are the guys of this generation that are going to be the artists that you kind of stick with, or the artists of the moment for you?
Yeah, it's a deep,
it's a good question, man.
Trolling subjects like this, yeah.
That's deep, man. I mean, I appreciate that, Shane, because, I guess my observation, I was having a conversation this morning with a good friend of mine, and I was explaining to him because I was watching a Led Zeppelin doc. Seriously, on Netflix put out, I think it's called Becoming Led Zeppelin, right?
Okay.
And I said, I grew up in a time when there was no black music, or like like music blended when I was a kid, right? Well, so I remember listening. Oh yeah, we listened to Pink Floyd. Like when I was in high school, I was listening to the Wall.
I mean, music.
No. But let me finish. Music is always music. It's soul music, right? So I get that. But I'm saying on the radio, they played everything, right? So I can listen to Bruce Springsteen, Billy Joel. I would listen to Stevie Wonder, Parliament Funkadelic. We played punk rock. We were listening to Devo and the B-52s. We listened to music, right? So for me, Charles is laughing. Charles, you grew up in the same generation, right?
I'm the same way. Yeah.
So for the way we consume music and the way you guys consume music is entirely different, right? And I think the other thing, and I'll say this now, that I think we were spoiled, right? Because we assumed when I was a teenager, like Earth, Wind, and Fire was around, and Stevie was around, and Minnie Riperton, and Parliament Funkadelic, the Isley Brothers. There was so much music, right? And it was everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And am I lying?
No,
it was
not at all.
constant and everywhere, right? And I just assumed it would always be that way. And then you get to a certain age and you go, hey, this music is different. This is not the same thing. And when I started noticing it, honestly, was around the beginning of the 2000s, right? When the music just started falling off to a point where I was like, I'm not really feeling this music in the way I used to back in the day.
True. I mean, I don't know if it's all the Beehive or the Swifties or whatever. I don't know.
I just think it's social media, man. It's just different.
Yeah,
it's just different.
It's just gone
and then
to
the way the labels changed.
Yeah,
because I worked in radio and I was literally in the last vestiges of like the old school of what music used to be, where the record reps would come by a radio station every Tuesday from all of the different labels, and they would drop off music and tickets, and like we were getting CDs. And like 4 or 5 years after that, man, it just kind of changed, man. And it was like,
it's the Wild Wild West. If you put it on YouTube or in other social media places, and just
Yeah, the Napsters and all of the different spots that popped up. But I say all that, and we're going to bring it back home to end this segment, man. Sly Stone, man, a guy whose music I wasn't a big, unlike you, I didn't listen to Sly as a kid. I didn't discover Sly until years later.
what?
I'm saying when I say I didn't listen to him as a kid, I discovered all of his influences like much later on. But man, that is a monumental loss.
Yeah, it is.
And I remember the last person who really passed, not the last person, but one of the last people who I actually shed a tear for was Maurice White when he died from Earth, Wind and Fire. Man, see Shane. It's unfortunate because he was born too late, but to miss what Earth, Wind, and Fire was in their heyday, bruh.
Everybody, the
Shane,
world revolved
that's
around
a
the
band,
elements.
bruh.
The elements.
That's a band. The Elements. That was a band. But yeah, man, so born in 1945. Born 1943.
43.
Passed in 2025 at the age of 82, man. Sylvester Stewart, better known to us as Sly Stone, man. Thank you for everything, man. That brother changed the game for not just me and Charles and his family on RV trips, but for every artist
The world.
who just sampled that style, D'Angelo, all these guys, man. So, all right, man. Let us move on to our next segment, man. And this weekend over in D.C. in Union Market, the 6th annual Light Reel Film Festival went on. And I will just tell you, as the festival director and founder of the festival, it was our best year. We broke records this year. Before this year, Shane, we had never had a sold-out movie at the Light Reel Film Festival. In 2025, we had 3. We actually had an encore film that almost sold out
again.
That almost sold out again. We had filmmakers that came in from around the country. We're still compiling the information of how many were here. We went from last year, Charles, of only activating 2 locations, because last year we had the hotel where we had the panels and the films at the film festival and the parties and everything with the hotel.
Right.
We went from 2 spots to 5 that we activated this year. So we activated the Balcone, Serenata, Lab 1270, the Angelica Theater, and last but not least, the Auto Shop. So we had huge crowds. We had people come in our panels. Shane was at the festival for 2 days. There was a vibe. I mean, now, am I wrong? There was a vibe in the lobby. There's nothing to me that says film festival better than when people are just standing around with separate conversations. You got filmmakers in with their cast. You got people who have just come out of movies and they're excited about their movies. Shane is holding on to his lady and they're enjoying the whole atmosphere. Charles and I are stressing because we want to make sure. Well, actually, I wasn't stressing. I was running around having individual conversations with as many filmmakers as I could. I spent a lot of time having conversations with filmmakers. So before we get to our reflections, I want Shane, what did you think about Light Reel this year, and what was your experience and your takeaway from being down there for those 2 days? I think I know which one you didn't enjoy.
Yeah. Who is they? Oh. So there's going to be a space in our recording where there's just snap.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize they couldn't hear. I thought you meant they as in the proverbial they there who we talking about.
So the whole time Shane was talking about this is his first film festival.
We don't get into that.
We gotta
can we
interpret.
translate for Shane? So what Shane is saying that it was his first film festival, you stupid. He said he loved the vibe. He loved 99.9% of the movies. And you and I know which one he didn't like.
Of course, but it was purposeful. It was.
Well,
I mean, we knew people weren't going to like the movie.
Well, no.
It wasn't meant to be enjoyed.
Let me just say this. And I'll tell you what I told Shane. I think the movie on its own merits, says enough. But when the director got up there, yeah.
I'm glad you were there to experience that.
Woo, bruh. So, but the coolest thing, there were several high points for me at this festival this year. One, I tell you all the time, and Charles knows it's true because he talks to me all the time. Light Reel is a platform, right? Light Reel is a platform for filmmakers and audiences and to enjoy the work, right? And there's nothing that makes me happier than when I see filmmakers, man, who are getting love from the audience on the platform. So it started on Thursday night with the world premiere of the class reunion, right? And they told us, Shane, which I didn't know, that the cast hadn't even seen the movie. So nobody had seen the movie.
Which was crazy.
So we had a theater, let's just say there's a certain number, and we exceeded that number by maybe 25 additional seats in the theater. So they were bringing chairs from the lobby. It was Charles, standing room only for real.
Madness.
Just chaos, but good chaos, not bad stuff. People were into that movie, and then their Q&A. Man,
I meant to warn you because Chuck and Bree, when they started the Q&A, they go in. They're gonna thank everybody. They're gonna talk about everything.
My third grade teacher, the mailman, the dude that watched my dog. But look, it was heartfelt. It was sincere, and then we had the after set at Serenata. So Shane missed all that. That was like Thursday. It was madness, but in a good way, right? So we had a meeting on Saturday because we expected I Was the Weirdo, which was making this DC premiere, to be a similar situation, right?
Yeah.
But what we didn't know was that not only did that movie sell out, but Game On sold out too.
Played
opposite it. So
No. Game On played earlier.
Oh, did it play? Oh, so it was one block earlier.
It was the shorts block.
Right. So, and folks came out of Game On, man, like, wow. But Charles, that was a Charles selection. Charles found that one.
Yeah.
So, look, kudos to you, brother. That was a really good movie. Did you, Shane, did you get a chance to see it?
That was just God-inspired how that
Shane
happened.
didn't see it, man. Game On was good. So, Game On was a story of a Chinese village. They had an NBA-style tournament just both for their men and their women. And it was like a Nigerian ex-basketball player who was sort of, he wasn't their coach. He was
the ambassador for basketball.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so he was there.
I like that. That was good. The ambassador. It was a great, and it's funny because I tell people all the time when we're watching all these movies, man, like I might watch the first 10, 15 minutes and I'd be like, oh, I've seen enough. I started watching that movie and I was like, then 20 minutes later I was still watching it. And then like a half an hour later I was like, oh, this is good. This is a great movie, man.
I mean, it sucks you in because you don't really expect this culture to be invested in basketball the way they are, and they are serious.
They are serious
about basketball.
So needless to say, we had the award winners at the festival, and the big award, of course, is the Audience Award, and we finished in a tie this year.
Yeah.
I Was the Weirdo.
And Game On.
Game On.
Both local filmmakers.
Both of the audience loved both these movies,
both of those movies.
So that made me proud. And then you were at the award ceremony on Saturday.
Yeah.
Spaceman winning for Best Narrative Short.
And John Funk, the director,
and he was there.
Present.
And he was shocked.
His mind was blown.
He was like, there were a lot of really good films here. I don't know if I deserve this. Shane said, you don't. No, but now it can be told.
We're not clowning you, John.
We're not clowning John. No, we're not putting Shane out there. Great. But I will say this.
We had a lot.
Watch this. Which film did I tell you was my favorite short in the entire festival?
Demons.
No, well, that was second. Soul of the City. Soul of the City was. Shane, did you see Demons?
No, he didn't.
Oh, bro.
He didn't see it. He didn't go to that block.
Demons was good. We had a lot of really good narrative shorts this year. I'm talking about like double-digit numbers of really good shorts this year.
Matter of fact, Shane and his girl came to me, and they're like, you put your foot in them shorts, man. Those shorts blocks were fantastic.
Look, Shane brought up the beguiling.
Oh, yeah.
That was another one.
That
was another one. Now, Shane, did you see Narrated By? Oh, yeah, I like Narrated By. Narrated By. I love when the engineer comes back. He goes, never mind. Yeah, there was some. I was proud of the
Bride's director was here.
Yeah, she was
there. Yeah.
She was there. Did you meet her? Director, yeah, she's pretty cool, man. So that's to me is part of what I enjoyed about the festival. The parties, the Prince party. Charles, you were at the Prince party on Saturday night.
At the Prince party.
Did you see my Prince fans that were there?
I saw a lot of your Prince
Shane, did you see the Prince fans on Saturday night?
These Prince fans travel
brother,
to come here.
We had a young lady that I heard came up from Philly. She didn't bring any luggage. She just jumped on the train because it was a Prince party. And I'm assuming when it was over, she went back on the train and went back. Wow. I was like,
devotion.
Where's your luggage at? She's like, no, I just came. She's like, I came from the Union Station and I took a Uber over and then I'm an Uber back. Wow. Hey, man. It's called, matter of fact, we're going to rebrand, Shane. I want y'all to stop saying the Light Rail Film Festival and just say Light Rail. Like they do Sundance. I don't say, we're going to the Sundance Film Festival. We're going to Sundance. You're going to Light Rail.
We're going to Light Rail.
We're going to Light Rail.
Okay, Light Rail.
Light Rail. Oh, man, somebody's calling me. I'm not, we can't go to Light Rail right now. You talk to me after the show.
So they were trying to book the tickets.
But we had a great year. So one more time on air, I want to thank our big partners this year. Our presenting sponsor, of course, was the Union Market District, who really extended themselves in a way. We got a lot of push and support from them, and I really, really want to thank those guys. I want to thank where we are right now. Octa for me, the Office of Cable, Television, Movies,
Film, movies,
Entertainment, and
that's it.
Dang, man, I always mess that thing up, man. Y'all need to have that stuff written around here somewhere, man.
Film is movies, so it's film.
Whatever, man.
Music.
OCT FME.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, this film office, the film commissioner, led by director LaToya Foster. I'm saying her name on air because this is her house. So, and her, and let's also do a special shout out to Herbert Niles, who's the associate director here. And we got to do a shout out to two more people who are instrumental. Of course, Michelle Bailey, the director of communications. She did her thing this year, bro.
Yeah.
She did her thing. And of course, you got to remember Dr. Rita Lewis, who was on them socials down there at the festival this year. Oof.
Did you give her a doctor?
She's a doctor.
She's a doctor for real? I didn't know
Shane,
that.
She's Dr. Rita Lewis.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes. Well, so they, look, this office, they did their thing this year.
They
did their thing. So much props, and I look forward to a long affiliation as we continue into the future with the Light Rail Film Festival. A couple more sponsors we need to shout out. We gotta let President and CEO Angie Gates over at Events DC. Events DC was huge for us this year. They actually were the sponsor of the Black Butterfly,
yes,
which is our festival award. So I thank you, Events DC, for your level of sponsorship. That was hot.
It was fun because every time he had to say the festival, the Black Butterfly Awards,
presented by Events DC. Contractually, anytime you say Tim Black Butterfly, presented by Events DC. And last but not least, our last sponsor, of course, they sponsored our health and wellness block. Shane, you watch these health and wellness films, right?
I think I think
PDSI.
Yeah.
PDSI sponsored the health and wellness block and also sponsored the app that unfortunately we didn't have to use this year, but we will launch it for sure next year because it's paid for, so you're going to give me my app. But we will have an app next year for sure at the festival. But yeah, these four sponsors, along with, FAF and Black Real Awards.
And the Eden Group.
Well, no, the Eden Group is Union Market.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Selig Polygraph and trying to think if I left anybody. Oh, I'm sorry, Octet and Magnolia Pictures, man. So these were all the folks, man, that sponsored the festival this year. And also remember, we had an amazing time at the closing night film. Shane, did you see 40 Acres? So Shane loved 40 Acres.
40 Acres.
40 Acres is good. 40 Acres was good.
Y'all didn't hear it, but he said
he loved it. Yeah, so 40 Acres.
If he didn't say he loved it, we would still say that he loved it.
Oh, and then also, we got a couple more minutes in this segment, man. We got to do a shout-out to my girl, Stephanie Filo, 4-time Emmy Award winner, 3-time Peabody Award winner that showed up in town yet again doing a conversation about editing, who also told us that she was a juror this year, and there was a film, which we won't say.
Stop it.
I just thought it was funny. Charles started
it. Leave it alone.
When
some things are meant to be inside.
You want me to say it?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I just think it's a funny story.
I am going to say this. Hey, Guy Lambert, you said you was coming. What happened to you, man?
Oh, Guy didn't show up?
Guy didn't show up.
Guy didn't show up. Oh, my bad, man. Well, it happens, bro.
It happens.
All right, so we also announced on last Saturday the dates for the next Light Rail Film Festival, June the 3rd through the 6th, 2026. Festival passes go on sale September the 1st.
Yeah.
Submissions open September 15th. You can go to Film Freeway now. Look, it's all set up.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, it's all set up. I am very excited, man. So, Charles, before we get out of this segment, man, I think my goal last year, I told you, was 100 films.
100 film submissions.
We surpassed 100 submissions.
We did break.
So
broke through.
So what are we looking at this year?
It's your goal. You tell me what the goal is, and I'm going to try to meet it.
What if I go between 125 and 150 this year? And we're going to also need to bring some readers in because that's a lot of movies to watch.
Yeah, we definitely
And when I say not readers, but watchers, we're probably going to be actively looking for about 5 or 6 people who just want to watch films for the programming team and give notes out.
So
Shane is like...
So you're officially putting the word out that we're looking for readers for
absolutely.
Next year.
I'm putting the word out now because by the time September... by the time September rolls around, I need a team of readers in place because... We've got to go to Toronto to scout for films. We don't get any out of Middleburg, but then it's Sundance. South by. Mm-hmm. We would go to New African, but New African's not really rocking with us.
Slam Dance is still in play.
Slam Dance is still in play, and maybe some of the smaller festivals like Denton and Durban. Durban's not small, but
I got an invitation to Denton next year, so I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. All right, so that's our wrap up, man. Thank you everybody for a very successful Light Reel Film Festival. And what people don't know is I've been in the lab, Charles. I'm already cooking up a new recipe for Light Reel 7.
Hey, look, you need
L7.
You need to let that guy Gordon Edwards know he did his thing too.
Gordon Edwards on
social media accounts.
Social media,
man. He
look at Shane. Is that my design? L7.
Hey,
L7 busting out L7. Thank you, Rick James. Busting out. All right, so now it's time for us to segue. Now it's time to talk about some movies. Unfortunately, Charles didn't see any of these movies, man.
What?
So I'm teasing you. You saw one.
I saw 3.
You saw all 3 of these movies?
Yeah.
Did you?
2.5. 2.5.
Say, look. Did you?
2.5.
All right, man. I love. See. This is our joke, man. Charles and I just go back and forth.
It's usually the other way around, though. I usually see all the movies. I'm like, how many did you see?
That is true. But now that...
So which one are you going to go with? How to Train Your Dragon?
No, but I'm saying now that the festival is over, now I can get back to a modicum of seeing some movies.
That was your reasoning?
Well, I mean, really? What other reason would it have been, Charles? I mean, do you expect me just to walk away from 30 years of reviewing movies just because I just got tired of reviewing movies?
Transitioning into a new phase of life.
No, man. Well, I'm transitioning because we're announcing next Wednesday the nominations for the 9th Annual Black Reel Television Awards.
Woohoo!
Yes.
And look, I think I said this last year. You can't be throwing the black reel voting right in the middle of light reel.
Sir,
I mean,
what do you want me to do?
You know somebody who runs. Can you make it a suggestion?
Interestingly enough, I get this all the time from people. You in charge of that. So, as an aside, Shane, I
didn't say you were in charge. I said you know somebody.
Oh, no. I'm in charge. It's not about I know somebody. Yeah, I do know somebody. Where's Amir at? Him. Anyway, I got this conversation over the weekend. I was talking to somebody. If you hear me talking like this, you know who I'm imitating.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody who was complaining that they wanted to see a panel, but the panel was up against the movie. Is there any way we can shift the panel schedule? No, we can't shift the panel schedule. We have a finite amount of time in the schedule in order to have stuff play. But they want to see. You can't see both. So I think this is helpful, Charles, because we're going to probably have to put something together to educate people on how, like Shane said, this is his first film festival.
Yeah.
So what happens at the film festival, Shane? Every year, like we go to Toronto, Toronto's schedule comes out, right? Charles and I sit there like we're studying for the LSATs, and you're like, okay, this movie's over here. I got to see this one. But how can I get over to this one? And I really want to do this. So maybe I can see 3 movies a day, and then I can do this. And that's the reality of a film festival.
This movie is playing again next week.
And guess what, Charles? As we continue to grow, it's only going to get worse. Because next year, we only had 6 panels this year. We're going to have 12 next year. So you're going to really be in a pick your poison mode. And then I'm going to be bouncing stuff around next year, because I want to be over here doing panels, over here doing panels, over here doing movies, over here having experiences. Good luck. Because that's what it's supposed to be. And that's a festival.
And you're going to have to do like the rest of the people, like, which one am I going to?
Right. well, in my case is which one do I need to stick my head in the door and go and tease Shane as Shane is trying to run from over here to get over here. That's what a festival is about. That's what happens at Sundance. That's what happens at Toronto. That's our lives as film critics.
Look, we had a person write and say, "Hey, my film is showing at 2:00. Can you
put it in?
Can you put it in another slot?"
Nope.
I got people who want to come. I said, sorry, bro.
Sorry. No. That person's film came in late, and it's talking about, can I get a night slot? Nope. Sorry. But yes, I said all that to say that that's the reality of a film festival, and a good festival really makes you choose. Like when I go to Sundance, there's just times that I just have to blow off every panel. I can't see any of them because I want to watch movies. Or there might be a day where I don't see any movies I really want to see, and then that might be a panel day, and we'll have some stuff that we're doing. So it's a lot of fun, man. So having said that, can't wait to see Shane's face in the future. Like, what am I doing? All right.
He'll be quizzing us about which films to see again like he did this year.
Shane's going to have to put a schedule together, man. All right, so let us slide into now. We'll start with How to Train Your Dragon, which is a fantasy adventure that's a live-action remake of the 2010 animated film How to Train Your Dragon. Or a better way of saying it is this is the new thing that's going to be happening from now on. And we've talked about it with Lion King and all these other titles that every 15, 20 years, whatever format it was in when you saw it originally, they flipped the format, but it's the same movie, right? So you saw the animated version in 2010, 15 years later, you get the live action. By 2040, it's back to being another animated version. By 2055, it's so I'm just keeping it real. The Lion King came out as a live action. No, I'm sorry, it came out as an animated in the 90s. We just had it recently as a live action. And then the next time it comes back out, it's going to come out as animated again with a brand new voice cast. That's sort of the model of how they do this.
But to me, this whole live action thing is a misnomer. It's not because you got a whole lot of animation in this film.
Right, you got a lot of CG.
So I mean, it's not like it's live. It's not.
All right,
it's not really live.
So let's get into this. So loosely based on the 2003 novel of the same name, produced and written for the screen, directed again by Dean Dubois. The film stars Mason Thames, Nico Parker, Nick Frost, Julian Dennison, whole bunch of other people. with Gerard Butler reprising his role as is it Stoic the Vast from the animated film.
Yes.
All right, so Charles, I'm gonna start first with this one. I loved the original animated version of How to Train Your Dragon. I thought it was great.
Really?
I did.
Okay.
I really did. I thought the story was aspirational. Of course, it's the story of a young boy who's the son of a king, who the king really wants him to kind of follow in his footsteps and be this sort of Viking who is going to hunt and kill these dragons. And of course, his son is more technical and analytical. Right. And of course, they have this class and this training that they're doing where they tell you all of the different dragons and what all these different dragons can do. But the one that everybody's afraid of is the one nobody can catch, which is the Night Fury. Right. So of course, one day he creates this contraption that captures a baby Night Fury, and then instead of killing it, it forms a relationship. And he really becomes the first rider of a dragon, right? So that's sort of the story. And then in the middle of all of that, there is the character played by Nico Parker. I think it's called, her character is Astrid. Who's a fierce warrior who secretly has a crush on said boy.
No.
Well, she starts off with a crush on him.
No.
Okay, Charles, go ahead. Fill it in.
Astrid has no. I mean, she knows who he is, but she has no feelings.
Oh, that's
for
right.
that
She
dude.
doesn't have any feelings initially.
Right.
But as time develops and she watches him and spends time around him, she starts to develop feelings for him.
Yeah.
So having said all of that, man, I'm just going to keep it 100. The story is literally like a carbon copy of the first one. And I tuned out halfway through because I was like, I've seen this movie already. I mean, seriously. Not that I tuned out because I was bored, but I was like, I know the story. I felt like I was it would almost be like if you made an animated version of The Godfather, but the story was the exact same. So I'm watching Clemenza talking about, hey, don't forget to shoot him, but get the cannolis. Watching this scene. It was the same. Am I wrong?
Pretty much.
The same movie.
I mean, it's the same
so
movie.
I tuned out halfway through, but I still watched it and appreciated it for what it is. And I still think I think the foundation of the story is still good. And I love the story of how this kid goes from being a zero to a hero. So the story works for me still. What about you?
The story works for me too. I went in again. How to Train Your Dragon, the animated version, is one of my favorite ones, and I think it was robbed when it didn't win best animated feature. Because they did a good job of recreating everything, and even the sweeping scenes of flying that happened in the film I thought were fantastic. I did notice a few changes here and there. They kind of, because Stoic is very harsh on his son.
Yeah, he's real hard.
And they try to normalize it by making it seem like all Vikings were harsh on their sons, and because there's some scenes in there,
right, I got that.
Which weren't in the original animation. Right. So I think they kind of realized that this was a kind of harsh, and they tried. But I'm going to say this. Animation is very different than live action. When you're watching these things happening in an animated movie, it's kind of cute and you can. But when things start popping off and dragons start flying and fighting and stuff, this is some scary stuff for little children. This is not a children's movie that you could be taking little ones to. As a matter of fact, it was kind of funny because there were some little ones in the screening that I went to, and they were like, is this over yet?
I heard him. I was there. Mommy, when is this over?
What's going on?
Oh, yeah, it is scary. I mean, imagine, watch this, I'm afraid of heights. And I can't speak for Shane, but imagine a kid goes, hey, man, hop on my back, man. This dragon's going to take us up. And it's not just taking you up in a nice, calm way. They're like, whoosh, 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 upside down. I was like, hey.
It's the roller coaster of all roller coasters.
Bruh. But look, I like the film. I would give it a B. I still think that the story is solid and it holds up. How to Train Your Dragon is going to make big money this weekend for people who have families that are looking for an alternative to all of the other tent poles that are out here. This is a big film this weekend. What about you?
I agree. I think I give it a B as well. I wanted to hate on it, but it was actually, it really worked well, I thought, for the film.
Got you.
And they've already got the sequel scheduled for.
Of course they did. They did a sequel to the. They did a sequel to the
there's
animated
3
version
in the original, so
and there'll be 3 in the live action.
And so I guess they'll be just doing beat for beat again.
Oh my God!
So
yeah, man.
2 years they'll be out with the sequel,
because that's how long the other one took. So yes. All right, so let's move on to our next film, man. And this film, which we shortened the title to Ballerina, is literally called From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. I love that title. This is an action thriller directed by Len Wiseman and written by Shay Hatton. It is the 5th installment in the John Wick franchise, and it is a sidequel. I've never heard of this phrase before. A sidequel set, listen to this, a sidequel to the John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum and set before the events of Chapter 4. So between Parabellum and Chapter 4 is this story from the world of John Wick Ballerina. It stars Ana de Armas as the ballerina assassin Eve, alongside Gabriel Byrne, Catalina Sandino Moreno, and Norman Reedus. And among those reprising their roles from the previous film are Angelica Houston, and in his final screen appearance, Lance Reddick, Ian McShane, and Keanu Reeves is in this, right? Now,
and you know, when I watched it, I was like, isn't he dead?
No.
Like,
this is a sidequel.
Wait a minute.
Between. Hey. All right, so let's get into this one, man. So, the one thing I found appealing about this is that instead of giving us this character of Eve, we get Eve's backstory, right? Yeah. And I think what I dug about the film was that we don't just see Eve, you know, like in a way, because John Wick, we never watched John Wick training.
Right.
In the, what is it called? The Russian, what is it called?
The Ruska Roma.
Thank you. We never see John Wick train in the Ruska Roma. We just know that he's like one of the baddest dudes. Matter of fact, he is the baddest dude that ever came out of there. We know that, right? He's John Wick, right? But we watch her character go through the training. First, she's a ballerina. She's trying, that's that great scene where she's trying some dance, and she must try like 7 times, and she keeps busting her butt. And Angelica Houston goes, again.
And you know what's funny is because we saw that in John Wick.
We did, right? But we didn't understand it was her.
It was her.
So along with that training, she's also getting her assassin training. So I like in the screenplay that we actually see her doing all these things in preparation for who she will become, right? There's also this fantastic stuff that they do where they take the John Wick footage that we've already seen from another angle. So like, John, all of this over a puppy? Yes. It's over a puppy. So that was fun. But but again, without tipping you off if you haven't seen the film yet, John Wick is a bad man, right? And it's so bad.
Who hasn't seen John Wick?
No, but I'm just saying, I'm talking about seeing this version of the film. Okay. Because when John Wick shows up, the reaction, hey man, run! John Wick is here, run! which is correct. If I was there, I'd be like, hey, I'm not messing with John Wick. So there's exchange, which I thought was really funny because it's like, I guess you never watched a John Wick movie before. You gonna fight John Wick? Like really?
Really?
You really can't beat John. And John knows you can't beat him either. So he's like, yeah, stop it, enough.
Stop. Come on.
But again, I think, see, for me, it worked. I know it was mixed among our community when people came out of the screening. It worked for me. I'm not saying it's John Wick. It's a different flavor of it, but I think it's immersed enough in the story to make it watchable. Even though if you're going in with the expectation that Anna de Armas is going to be Keanu Reeves, it's a very different. She handles it differently.
Yeah.
But I like her story, and I think that we could actually take her story and kind of like build on it. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking?
I totally agree. I'm going to flex my divinity degree a little bit here.
Here it comes.
There's
James.
a tattoo on the back of Anna de Armas in the film. It says "Lux in Tenebris," which is Roman for light and darkness, which is taken from the Gospel of John, chapter 4, where he says the light shines upon the world, and the world comprehendeth not. Speaking of Jesus Christ.
Correct.
And so we kind of get an idea of who she is in this film, in that she is a protector, a savior, and so we get this idea of her. And we've had the discussion about Keanu Reeves' character being a Messiah-like person.
Right.
This is the real protector, light in this darkness. And when we get into the film, there's a world she gets into that's very dark, and she's the light in the midst of it, trying to save these people. So I was very impressed about how they wove that into the film.
Well, I'm going to wrap this and just pretty much say I'm going to get a bit of B. I like the movie. I found it to be very watchable. I love the ways that the writers figure out different ways to kill people. I just like, and some of it was so unnecessary. I was like, dude, 1 or 2 bullets would have got the job done. We didn't need 8 or 9, but I was entertained. Like, are you entertained? Yes, I am.
I'm going to go kind of counter to what you're saying here, because I unfortunately, like you said, she's not John Wick, and I kind of went into this film expecting John Wick-ish kind of stuff, and it's not. There are times when they do some creative things, but if you're looking for John Wick fighting style and all that stuff, it's not here. It's a really different movie out of that genre, and so I was kind of disappointed at first blush, and so I would have given it a B, but I'm going to take it to a B minus. Okay. Because I kind of expected more, and it didn't get everything that I wanted, but it's still a good movie.
I got you. All right, so now we're gonna close with a film that is going to be very interesting to talk about, and of course, this is Straw, which is
no. It's Tyler Perry's Straw.
Well, they didn't say that, but yes, it's Tyler Perry's Straw, which is a psychological crime drama. Written, produced, and directed by Tyler Perry, starring Taraji P. Henson, Sherry Shepherd, Tiana Taylor, Sinbad, Rockman Dunbar, and Glenn Turnman. And let me just say, I went into this and I'm hating, right? We've been on the show. He made this movie in 4 days. I'm like, man, I'm hating. There's no way this movie's gonna be good, right? And then I start watching it. And, it pretty much is a one-day story, right? So it's a story of Taraji P. Henson's character, who is literally having the worst day of her life. Her name is Janiyah. Janiyah wakes up. Wilkerson, right? Yeah. So we won't even use her last name, but Janiyah is having the worst day of her life, man. She wakes up with her daughter, gets her daughter to school. Her daughter is had suffered has a history of seizures.
She has
medical issues. She gets her to school. She's like, "Mommy, I'm gonna need some money because the kids are teasing me because I'm eating the special lunch, and if you don't give them the $40, they're clowning me." So she's like, "All right, baby, I get paid today. I'm gonna get you $40." So she drops her off at school, goes to work, and she's working at a supermarket, right?
Yep.
And it's the first of the month, and everybody's in there with their EBT cards, and people trying to buy stuff. You can't buy with an EBT card, so. She gets a phone call in the middle of work. "Hey, your daughter's at school.
We need you to come to the school.
I can't." So her boss, who has no empathy at all, played by the great Glenn Turnman, is like, "You got a half an hour. Get your A back here." And she shows up at school. I mean, it's just like everything bad that can happen to her happens to her in that day. And she breaks.
Oh.
And you know what's interesting about this? Is Tyler Perry, I thought, did a really good job of giving us the construction of the backstory.
Yeah.
You know, watching
Yeah.
Sinbad's character who's homeless, who asks her for money and she blows him off and then comes back and gives him some change while the landlord is screaming, oh, you can pay him some money, but you can't give me my money. So everything about Charles, everything about this, I thought was very plausible.
Very plausible.
You can't.
Not really any outrageous Tyler Perry usual creations. This was like, I can see this happening.
There was
this
a
makes
song
sense.
that came out before Shane was born by Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 that said, "Don't push me, because I'm close to the edge. I'm about to lose.
I'm trying
not to
lose my head."
And guess what? She lost her head.
Oh yeah.
So let's just say, without giving away the plot, something tragic happens. And she, you know how you get so mad sometimes that you see red and then you wake up and go,
What happened?
What happened?
Did I do that?
So I thought, and then the other thing that I thought really that Tyler does well, that layered the story, that really sold it for me, was the social media reaction
Right.
to how everybody in the city is watching this simultaneously. I thought it was genius. I really thought he did a good job with this one. Charles, what did you think about Tyler Perry's Straw?
I like how you had to correct yourself.
I was about to say, what did you think about Tyler Perry's Straw?
I think you hit the nail on the head. This is not what I mean. We heard all the usual stuff. He took 4 days to shoot it and write it and put it all together. And I was like, this is going to be the usual Tyler Perry nonsense. And the opening scene, the opening act of the first scene, I'm like, wait a minute, I understand this. This makes sense. And everything that she goes through, every position that she's put in, I'm like, I can see that happening. That makes sense. And the whole movie, it just continually escalates and escalates, not by any fault of her own,
Right.
but just because of the circumstances around what she is going through. It's all right. Is that, and she's just caught. She's got to the final straw, and then everything just goes off from there. And I was like, "This is Taraji P. Henson does a fantastic performance in this film."
Oh yeah, she's. But you know who else? The
And
supporting
Tiana
performance.
Taylor.
Tiana Taylor.
Woo.
Tiana Taylor.
I mean, after
we need to have a conversation
she did
about her.
1001, and somebody's like, "Man, I didn't know Tiana had that in her."
Tiana Taylor is really good in this film, and Sherry Shepherd. I love her character as well as the bank manager, because everybody is super frightened because of what they allege or think is going on.
Right,
and then. You know, it works out like the way it's written. Like when people start to really understand what she's going through and how she got to this point, how everybody's mood and energy sort of shifts. It's a very interesting, it's a very well done story. I like it. I came downstairs when I finished it. I said, "You're not gonna believe this. This is a really good Tyler Perry movie." Wow, I like this movie.
Stop.
Well, when I say
this is a really good movie.
It's a really good movie. You know what? My apologies. Tyler, I know you listen to the show because I feel your energy sometimes. This is a really good movie.
It's a really good movie.
It's a really good movie, man. So Straw. I'm giving Straw a B+.
Absolutely.
One more time for people out there. Tyler Perry's Straw gets a B+ from Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. So never let it be said, man, he always hating on Tyler when he deserves it. Did you see Divorce in the Block? Did you see Single Ladies?
Stop it. You're making my stomach hurt.
Hey, that was a really good movie, man. So
yeah, I even hated Glenn Turner appropriately.
Oh
in
my
this
God,
film.
yeah. Him and another hater woman at the bank.
Oh,
what was that about?
How about the landlady?
Oh, they was all hate. There was a lot of hate. Hate. All right, man. We got to wrap it up, man. We got to get out of here because Shane is always on us about we over time, man. So So you've got your 3 movies, and as we tell you guys every week in closing, please see something good at the movies. We've given you a couple of good recommendations this week. We really didn't hate any of these movies, man. Charles was a little disappointed in one. But I'll just say this, man. We're going to wrap it up by saying please see something good at the movies. And I'm going to use this new catchphrase that my executive assistant gave me. You ready, Charles?
Mm-hmm.
Until next time, keep it black, keep it
Don't do
bold,
that.
and always keep it real.